Welcome to our professional learning on September 9th, 2016. Today is our Red Friday.
Woohoo! Don't forget that throughout today you definitely want to take photos and hashtag Team RS.
And Team Co if you're from Comanche.
So Jen Collier here from Rising Star Instructional Coach and
Jessica McGovern, I am the instructional coach at Comanche Elementary.
And we're going to walk you through what our professional learning is going to be like today. We're doing a flipped lesson, so kind of shows you what this can look like within your own classroom if you wanted to do something like this as well.
So our objectives today are really going to be centered around the ELA and math maps. We know that our maps are going to tell us the what, but this is going to give us an opportunity to dig into the how. So what are there supplemental resources we can use, as well as a chance to plan together after we unpack some of our standards. So we're going to be taking a deeper look at our maps in order to gain a better understanding of what the standards are asking students to be able to do.
We're going to collaborate in grade level and content area teams to plan for upcoming units and or standards.
And we're going to house our unpacking of standards and the lessons that we'll be creating and collaborating on in a Google Drive folder that will be provided here at this link.
So today you'll be referring to your curriculum maps as well as tapping into other resources that may be helpful in planning. If you look on the left-hand side of this screen, not only in this video, but you will also have access to this whole presentation. But on the left-hand side in red, it says Got Questions, post them here, and then there's a link to our today's meet so that as you have questions, Jess and I will get notified and we'll be able to come around and help answer any questions that you may have.
All right, so we're just going to review our agenda for today. Our first activity will be activity 1, unpacking the standards. What is the standard asking kids to be able to do? In activity 2, we're going to take what we've just done in activity 1 and we're going to actually get into 2 different teams, and we're going to choose relevant upcoming standards for each content area. So we'll split into 2 groups, preferably a mix of both schools, a couple in ELA, a few in math, and then we're going to create and share a document, Google Slides, whatever you choose, to show learning activities, I can statements, possible assessments, and ideas for differentiation.
After that, with time that's left over, you're going to use the remaining time after both of the activity 1 and 2 to discuss apps at your grade levels that you use or have used. You'll also take time to discuss which apps both buildings have already put requests in for, or possibly divide and conquer putting in requests.
All right, so we'll go ahead and get started with our activity 1. We are basically going to walk you through the Unpacking the Standards template. This will also be in the Google Drive folder where you'll go and pick your grade level, and then this will be labeled activity 1. So we're going to walk you through how to unpack a standard.
So again, this is just an example. So the very first thing that you would do is you would be writing your standard. So the standard that we've chosen is solve multi-step word problems posed with whole numbers and having whole numbers answers using the 4 operations, including problems in which remainders must be interpreted, represents these problems, I can't read apparently, represent these problems using equations with a letter standing for the unknown quantity, assess the reasonableness of answers using mental computation and estimation strategy, including rounding.
This is a loaded standard.
So the very first thing that you would do is you would underline, or in technology terms, highlight green the verbs in the standards. So our verbs in this standard would be solve, represent, and assess. We would then go ahead and write those under skills in our document.
The next thing what we're going to do is put a box around the nouns in a standard. So within this standard, our nouns are going to be whole numbers, operations, remainders, equations, unknown quantity, mental computation, estimation, and rounding. We're going to put boxes around those.
Then we are going to be...
We'll also be listing those under concepts. So we'll list those under concepts. So concepts equals nouns in our standard.
Then the process that's stated or inferred. Sometimes it's stated and literally sometimes you have to infer it. This is what we would just write in the process box. So the process is kind of the how. So for example, this says using the 4 operations, representative, I think I messed that word up. The unknown quantity with a letter and assess the reasonableness of answers using a variety of strategies.
So this is something that you would come up with and discuss with your grade level group when you're unpacking a standard.
Yep, it's the how. The next is the prerequisite skills, what you would need to know previously to accomplish this skill.
So what do they have to know previously? Prereq skill for this standard would be they'd have to know how to solve one-step equations, show proficiency in the 4 operations individually, demonstrate rounding skills and estimation, close reading skills to determine important information.
And then you're done unpacking the standard. Give yourself a pat on the back.
All right, so now that you have had a chance to see how to unpack a standard, it's your turn to actually practice doing one.
And don't worry, you can always rewind this video a little bit as you're going through your unpacking the standard to kind of see what we said before in case you missed something, which sometimes is plausible.
All right, so for this activity, what we'd like for you to do, since you all have access to this slides presentation, you can either choose one person who's going to pull it up or everyone can pull it up. It's whatever you guys decide as a grade level you'd like to do.
Sorry about that, guys.
Awesome. Whatever you guys as a grade level decide that you want to do, but you're going to access the Unpacking Standards Google Drive folder. This link has also been shared on slide 2. You're going to choose your grade level, and then you'll choose the slides template labeled Activity 1 to do this activity. After seeing the example in the video, which of course you can go back and rewatch if you'd like, choose one math or ELA standard to unpack as a grade level together. So you guys can choose either one that maybe you're working on right now, but just one math or ELA to unpack together as a grade level using the process we just showed.
This should take you about 15 minutes. So at this point, if you wanted to pause the video and kind of time for about 15 minutes, this is where you would do that to be able to unpack this standard as a group.
All right, you can go ahead and pause this video or go back and rewatch, and we'll see you guys back in about 15 minutes. All right, hopefully that activity went pretty smoothly. We're going to move into activity 2 and kind of apply what we've just done. We want to give you guys as much time to collaborate and plan together as possible today.
But don't forget to hashtag Team RS because we wear red better.
We'll see.
So, content area focus. What we're going to be doing is within your grade level that you're already in, we want you to split into 2 different teams. For example, 4 ELA and 4 math people. Preferably a mix of both schools so we're not just Team Comanche and Team Rising Star. We definitely want to mix together.
These are going to be content areas that you're working in for the remainder of the morning, so hopefully you like everyone. Choose standard or standards for your team content area to unpack together using the template labeled Activity 2 in the Drive folder. So example, for ELA, you might choose one of your reading standards and you might choose one of your writing standards. Since we know in ELA, there's a lot of standards we're usually trying to get to. So I would just pick those big focus ones. So we gave an example RL51 and the example of W59. Example for math, 5th grade might be 5 NBT 7. So you're going to choose together and decide which ones are most applicable to this activity and relevant for you as a team.
And you definitely want to choose something that you haven't already taught, that is something that's going to be coming up over the next few weeks that you're going to have time to really think about. And it will more than likely be more than one standard. There's actually 5 slides within the Activity 2 presentation for up to 5 different standards that you would be unpacking for this lesson planning unit.
And again, that's just kind of up to you guys as a team to decide how you want to do that. We're going to estimate about 15 minutes for this. So kind of whatever you can do within that 15 minutes.
So at this point, you can go ahead and pause the video for about 15 minutes while you choose the standards and unpack those. All right, hopefully that went pretty well, and we are going to then be creating and planning using the standards that we just unpacked.
So again, after unpacking the standards you've chosen with your group, you are going to now plan for and brainstorm ideas for the standards unit you have by creating either a Google Slides, a Google Doc, a PowerPoint, really whatever you want to do to showcase unpacking this standard.
You definitely want to make sure you do this in the Google Drive folder because this is going to be a shared folder that both schools will have access to.
If you're having trouble with this or having a problem with this and somebody in your group can't seem to figure it out either, remember that you can always use the sidebar over here to the left. For got questions, post them here. And we'll come and help you. Sorry.
Nope, you're fine. In your lesson planning, your unit planning, we definitely want to make sure that you include the following things. You want to include learning activities that could be used to teach the standard. Note, side note here, learning activities do not refer to the Daily Five or other reading and math differentiated structures.
You're also going to want to include whatever I can statements accompany those learning activities. The great thing about this is that they're already embedded within the math curriculum maps, and then there are suggestion I can statements on the SMSD website for ELA.
You want to address how we will assess these standards, possible evidence of learning, and also how we will differentiate. You can use and access the learning continuum for this. Also think about your Daily Five model, your math model, other differentiated structures as well. On the next slide, you can't see what that says right there, and I apologize, but you can use the next slide to access additional planning resources. So there's a lesson plan template, which is this first slide that you can use to create your lesson plan, unit plan. There's also the Math Common Core resources presentation that you can access. Our innovation specialist here at Rising Star, Rob Shackelford, has a website that's fantastic for everything. And then there's also a learning continuum how-to in case you just haven't quite dug into the learning continuum yet or need a refresher on how to do that.
So again, these are just some resources for you that you can choose to access or not during your planning time with your teams.
This should take you about an hour to do.
So we're going to give this next hour just for you, just so that you can plan and really dig into your standards and make it relevant for you and your grade level team.
So go ahead and pause us now. Congratulations, you made it to the extra remaining time. So what you're going to be doing for this last 30 minutes, if you only spent an hour on the lesson unit planning, is share out your lessons with the rest of your group. Since you're in ELA groups and math groups, you can then come back together and share out what you created today with each other.
Additionally, if you still have a little bit of extra time, this might be a great opportunity to really talk about what apps you like to use within that grade level. There might be some different ones that Rising Star uses compared to Comanche. So this might be an opportunity also to divide and conquer if there's any remaining app requests, since that new process is somewhat timely. You can use some of this time to divide and conquer and get those requests in.
So at about 11:20, keep an eye on the clock. If you would head back to the library, we're going to end our day together with giving our principals an opportunity to have a closing remark. So at 11:20, we will send a reminder over the intercom to head back down to the library for our principals to send us off as the West team. We hope you've enjoyed this learning presentation and the time to collaborate with each other, and we will see you soon. Bye.